There was a moment of,
All right, so welcome to today, all those of you that are here. It's great to be here. Soraya has something she just needs to get out, and then I know Paula has her guns loaded, and I definitely want to get to whatever Paula has, but Soraya was drawn here for a purpose. So you are up first, ma'am.
okay, let's see. So it started just after I connected to your work, and I listened to a lot of the podcasts, and after a while I was just sitting, just minding my own business a few days ago, actually. And I had the most incredible experience. I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I connected to the consciousness of the earth. And I don't know, can everyone still hear me? Yes? Okay. So
we've just muted so that we're not going to interrupt. Okay.
All right. Okay. So I basically, as I was sitting there, I wasn't even intentionally meditating, but I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden I bumped into something, and I just realized, wow, that's actually the consciousness of the planet. And it was so overwhelming, so huge, that I felt so humble, as if I had almost like disturbed her. And I wasn't even sure how to react, because it was so huge. It was huge. It was incredible. It was powerful. And ever since then, I have felt her energy, her presence, in such a way as if no matter what I do, no matter where I am, I just keep feeling this flow of energy coming in from her, as if she's just, she's just blessing me. It's almost like I'm awake all the time, and it's just incredible. And I felt like I needed to connect and share this. So anyways, that was my experience. And then afterwards, as I was looking, I felt really drawn to Yedi Maya's work. And then I saw that you were posting some pictures of the inner earth on the city near Glastonbury Tor, and I really felt this immediate attraction. And then a few days later, I went on her website, and I saw that she's organizing a very a close committee meeting, a 4-day event in September. So I wrote to her and I said, I really need to be there. And she said, oh, but anyway, so it's all sorted. I'm going there on the 5th, and I feel really, really like it's almost like I feel there's something there's something happening all the time, and it's like it's upgrades all the time, and I feel it energetically. And sometimes it feels like waves coming in through my cells, and it's just happening. And like, who else can I share this with? I said, okay, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna email Lowell and see if I can connect to the tribe. So here I am. That's my story in a nutshell.
Here's where you get to do. Oh no, there's your story. No, there is how you got here. Now, yes. You just explained all the phenomena that's going inside of you. You think that's going to change from one moment to the next? No. You just want to build on that, and really, that's your purpose. You know why we're here. We are helping the universe evolve. And if we believe that we're that fractal of source, that spark that came here, our job is to help it learn more about itself. So in this density, we learn duality, because that's what 3D is about. We learn good stuff, and we have to get context. So we learn the bad stuff too. But every one of us has a soul contract with lessons that we chose. Believe me when I tell you, we incarnated many times, and that the soul that we ride around inside of here is goes way beyond this carbon avatar that we're floating around in right now. It's about to pass into something else. But why everyone is coming to a greater sense of something bigger than us is because the Earth's consciousness is shifting. And we are not tied to it. She wasn't dependent. on her consciousness rising when the collective consciousness here rose. We are critters crawling on the planet. And we're affected by the same energy as every sentient being, just like she is. But she is in a cosmic cycle. So she is on her way. To me, it's like any day she's going to push through this membrane, and fourth dimension is now. So these zones that you're referring to, like Glastonbury Tor, they just keep coming up in lots of things that I come across now. And so I feel like it was my job to start to illustrate these things. My first wake-up call was clearly getting to have, Telos opened up and visit that. And after that assimilated and the word kind of got a little bit, my guides wanted to remind me, Lowell, wait a minute, this isn't the only one. Telos, yeah, everybody's heard of it. So, that's where their attention is, but there are 120 of them. So we're going to educate you about them along the way. And, these sources of it just keep coming my way. The book by Radu Cinemar came by, and that can you mute whoever isn't muted? Hey, Chris, can you mute? Anyway, these areas they're considered golden tie areas. They're already predisposed to that vibration that exists in the fourth dimension. So people have been drawn to those areas for a couple different reasons. Some because they're just attracted to the vibration there. Some were attracted to them to go and help to do clearing work to additionally, prepare this space for it. So it's not just Shasta, which is, we know how energetic this is, and I can attest to you every time I come here, the physicality, it just changes. As soon as my boots are on the ground here, something physically changes, and it takes a couple of days to assimilate, but you feel a physical sensation that I wish there were words to express it. Anyway, people that have been here know what I'm talking about. And once you get here, then you'll know whatever that is. And if you find a term that expresses it, help me out and send it to me. But there are other inner earth cities is the bottom line here. And so they're all fractals of Lemurian colonies and Atlantean colonies. We kind of, when my past life regression curiosities began to pop up, it began in Atlantis. And the only way I got to Lemuria was understanding the history of the Atlanteans, and the relationship between them. And then when I got a greater understanding of Earth's real progression from when the mantle was first created and there was Elysium in really a perfected state. The planet hadn't been colonized yet, but the scientists that came here, the Pleiadians, who were master, botanists, they came to, when it appeared to whatever confederation that makes these decisions, that Earth was going to be built out to support life, because another planet that had been in our solar system that went by the wayside, that was really the target planet for it. And, Earth ended up being that thing. So anyway, the bottom line was, after, the Pleiadians created the mantle the way that they were asked to do, they stepped back and marveled at it. It was beautiful. Here is the Garden of Eden, everything perfect in every way. And they petitioned to colonize. Them and their families, they came there, they started. The Lyrians began to show up, and now you have master builders and architects. Holy cow, what do you want to build? And you had the ability for them at levels of technology and, things that they understand way beyond our capacity to understand it. So we can go back through all of that. But anyway, we're all here, it seems, as the common thread first is either Telos or the Lemurians. And however it comes back to our awareness that we had roots there, and I believe that every soul that's on the planet had to have passed through there. It was one of the civilizations, and it, preceded Atlantis until, that broke off and, just had a different agenda. Here we are back at a spot where now Earth it's imminent. This preparation we're making, the things that we're feeling right now are her energetic things being shifted into space. Earthquakes, volcanoes, these tsunamis that are created by it are all after effects of her just adjusting to her new frequencies. And whatever other changes are going to take place, it'll be curious to see if there'll be, landmass changes, because there certainly was before, Lemuria and Atlantis sunk. Yeah, the planet was way different then. You just can't kind of put some land masses back in the Pacific Ocean and say, well, that's the way it was. No. There's been lots of stretches and whatever over eons. Yeah, it's reasonable to think that those changes have taken place too. And that, where we find ourselves now is, the globe the way that it is. But, I like Ben Davidson on Suspicious Observers because he really does a good job explaining the cosmos and solar effects on our planet. He's brilliant in that way, and he is within the scientific community from a knowledge perspective, but he sees it for what it is and he calls it out for what it is. And that's why, he's endeared himself to me. He's great. He was a great source of helping me connect science to metaphysics and understand this elevated photon energy that's coming from the central sun that is affecting, of course, our entire solar system, but that's being modulated by our sun. So that is this enhanced light that we're getting. This is it, guys. And we're not just getting it, now. We've been getting it for a while. Every sentient being is being affected by this elevated photon energy that's affecting us at a cellular level. It is preparing our beings as humans that are going to walk the planet in the next phase to change our bodies from this carbon body to crystalline form, which is, what our friends in inner Earth already occupy. That's why they exist and look the same, whether they're hundreds of thousands of years old. They picked an avatar and that's what it is, but they're crystalline form. And if they wish to change it, they certainly can. But to understand and to put that into perspective, when we're riding around in this suit, knowing that the time we're going to spend here is limited, their perspective isn't that. And well, it's time for me to let somebody else go because I'll just rant. So, Soraya, hold on. Do you have anything else that you want to add for now?
Not for now. No.
Okay. Then,
thank you.
Miss Paula, I am really anxious to hear what you have to say today.
Interesting. So is there any a direction that you're looking to hear, or what I've been, just asking that first? What are you thinking in particular? I do have something to say, but anything in particular you're thinking?
You had sent me your last message sounded like you had some type of epiphany, and it was time. Well, your book was timely in some way. So I love hearing synchronicities, and I want to understand that one. But that apparently triggered something else, and I want to know that.
Right. Yeah, in terms of synchronicity. And I don't know what's going on with the camera thing, but that's okay. So for just kind of little background, I did not have any knowledge of Talos or beings that lived in inner Earth before June of last year, of 2022. And I am a evidential medium. So what that means is for the last, Spirit has guided me to develop my mediumship skills, which is, you connect with someone in the spirit world who's passed from this dimension to the spirit world dimension. And then you kind of give the loved one in front of you messages from the loved one, in spirit. And I'd been doing that maybe for like a year and a half, not that long. And one time I had gone into meditation and not having any background, knowledge that beings, from other universes and galaxies existed, but not having a big interest or knowledge of it. All of a sudden, I started getting information from people from Telos. And it was kind of a surprise. And they were guiding me to look at some congressional hearings that had been taken place in May of 2022 that I didn't know about. And, just kind of like trying to ease into this idea that they exist and guiding me most prevalently to Diane Robbins' work, who I'd gotten her book. And then another woman from Sweden, I can't remember her name and the name of that book, but anyway, guided me to those books. And I'm like, gosh, is this real? Am I making this up in my mind? And why would I make this up if I don't even have any background in it? It's just not trusting and kind of, and then they said, we'd like you to write a book. And I'm like, okay, I have to do this. The urge in me was so strong to follow their lead. And I started writing the book, but it was still kind of uncomfortable. But I was writing the book and I was getting evidence because I'm an evidence-based person. I don't channel messages. I get information and then I firm it up with evidence that it exists somewhere academically or in the news or somewhere. And as I was moving along, I was kind of getting more uncomfortable. I was just not in my paradigm. So it was uncomfortable, but felt very real at the same time. And then suddenly out of nowhere comes Lowell from the guide. And I was like, I was really uncomfortable. It was very difficult. I thought, well, there's me, there's Diane Robbins, and there's probably 5 more people that, are on board with this. And then the rest of the universe doesn't know. And then they said, no, there's many people that are awake to this and becoming awake to it. And then thank God Lowell showed up. And Lowell, if anybody has seen the Gaia episode, Journey into Telos with Lowell Johnson, you can see how genuine and real. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a big synchronicity and a sign. So I'm like, okay, I'm going full force with this book and get it out there as soon as possible. And then once I got it out, finished my book, I thought, okay, I like this information. I'm on board. Connecting with Lowell, connecting with the tribe, but I didn't see a mainstream interest in it. So I just let the book sit. It's like, it'll do what it needs to do. I've done my part. Now spirit, I guess, needs to kind of take that next step with it or whatever. I need to be guided to the next step. And I really wasn't. So it's just there, started working again in other areas. And then I don't know if you've all noticed, but suddenly it's broken into mainstream. Everything in my book that's written is now become mainstream through somebody named David Garush from deep inside the Pentagon, a person. He's a whistleblower talking about the same things that my book talks about. And then now there is Chuck Schumer, who's leader, he's the leader of the Senate, putting out saying he wants the Pentagon to release all information about everything that they know about UFOs. And they're having a big congressional hearing at the end of the month. And it's just interesting that this is suddenly goes from very, fringe to mainstream. But what's missing is what my book has is talks about Telos. And what I feel guided to now is teaching people how to receive telepathic messages. And when they do receive them, to trust it, because it's so easy to dismiss as being something that I'm just making this up. I'm just making this up. And trusting it, because I think it's going to become imperative that we trust our intuition as we move forward in this very new paradigm that we're stepping into, that a lot of people, I think, are going to be waking up to in a very short period of time. I would say by the end of the year. And then Lowell, you said your time frame was fall of next year. Is that right? Like, we're talking about very short time frames here.
You know, I had come across, of course, some documentation that Toth had given to a woman named Maya Nartuman. I found Maya's documentation on a totally different topic last year, or really maybe even earlier than that, but nonetheless, it was information I was supposed to get about Andara crystals and Ethereum powder. She had channeled that information from Toth on what the material was and what its purpose was way back in the 70s, but she began to document these things and like tuck them away on a server back in the early 90s. So here's this treasure trove of tons of these types of documents with all kinds of wisdom that Toth has just kind of tucked away. And Maya has been the, kind of the keeper and the interpreter of it at the same time. When you listen to some of her narratives, you just go into a whole different world and it all just clicks. And she talks in esoteric terms that you'll still understand. So the second document that came my way was, I've been talking about golden tie allotments for a while now. You've all heard me talk about them. And I think you have a rough idea, if not, a pretty good concept of what these energetically already supercharged, ready for new earth zones are. That's where this information came from. I don't talk about my connection to Toth. I don't fully understand what wisdom I draw from him, but I clearly do. It's not like he steps in like in Yedi Maya's case. She'll, there are higher aspects that work through her. And although I get that from time to time, that's not my relationship with Toth. But boy, whatever archive of information he's got, he either sees that I get it, or it comes out of nowhere and I just know it. I don't talk about that because the first time I ever did to somebody that I trusted with it, their response was, well, I don't need another God, tell me what to do. And that's certainly not my purpose here at all. Like, I'm learning this just like the rest of you. I'm on my own journey here with new tools. So what Paula had mentioned and her non-awareness of telos or any of that, that was my experience as well. But holy cow, I was supposed to know that. And when we talk about whether people made any of this up, this is a lot of people making up the same thing from a knowledge base of zero. So something tells me that this awareness was there for a reason. I can go into the connections where I think I see myself fit now after I've met Dave Wallace and spent significant time with Dave. Because as we know, Dave's had connections off-site, off planet, and brought back incredible wisdom. So his connection with beyond Earth sentience off planet is rock solid. Mine seemed to be connected to inner Earth and that multidimensional realm. And between the two of us, it's kind of like, we're bridging the gap and getting people ready. Now, I can see already that there is going to be the biggest challenge I see when people begin to awaken is the fear that's just been triggered in them. They're going to be scared of their own shadows. Yesterday, while I was sitting out here, there was a beetle I'd never seen before that when I set my chair up, it hit me in the chin and I could feel it. It just dropped onto the ground and it's cool. It's called a speckled, oh shoot, I'll think of it, but it's unique, black and white with long antennas. And in a past life, that would have freaked me out. And the last place I would have been around this thing. Well, something yesterday told me that, I've been asking for messages. This is one of the messengers. So he and I sat there as I looked at him, because he's a magnificent little creature, for about 15 minutes before he decided to move on. And here is the trigger that we need to help others get past, because when they begin to see beings that they're not used to, what do you think their reflex is going to be?
Yeah, agreed. And, you know, I think it's happening so quickly for all of us because I think it's happening so quickly in the zeitgeist. I would have never believed that within 12 months that Chuck Schumer would be having like hurried up congressional hearings on this, and a strong belief that there has been deception, you know. And this is perpetrating throughout. Yeah, so it's uncomfortable. And, you know, the paradigm is difficult for the media to take hold of. The paradigm is difficult for the general public. And it's suddenly, you know, if you ever have questioned your path in all of this, like, why is this happening to me? What's going on? I feel like that is going to start becoming very, very clear to all of us very soon. And I feel like for myself, I have to have faith in things unseen and allow it to unfold as it's going to unfold, because it'll become clear, like, okay, now I understand my role. I am understanding my role more and more, where it's been kind of like, you know, a little quizzical for me, especially the last 3 months. It's been weird, but I do see my role. And, you know, I think, and I don't know if you all will agree with this or not, I feel like we have to be confident in ourselves. We have to be confident that we have everything that we want and need to accomplish what our role is. Because I know we all have a very special role in all of this. And it's like, I have to have confidence. I can't feel like, what do they call it? They call it imposter syndrome. Like, oh my gosh, how could I take on this sort of role? I feel like kind of imposter. And a lot of times, those of us on the metaphysical path sometimes are a little bit, maybe I know I'm shy. And then we tend to not want to be the center of attention. We want the information to be the center of attention. And so just making sure that we allow ourselves to bring this information forward and not be scared to do so, because I think people are going to need it. To Lowell's point, people are going to be nervous, they're going to be uncomfortable, and they're going to look to people to turn to, and they're going to be looking to us for that. Would you agree with that?
100%. They're going to look for people that they know and sound authentic, because that's what they're going to look for. All of this is unfamiliar to them. When this first occurred to me, and long before I ever even said out loud, I never wanted to be a talking head about any of this stuff. I'll come back to this thought in just a second. Let me continue to finish completing my thought, and then I'll continue. But yes, I agree 100% with that. Soraya, to me, is the best example of the latest person who somehow got triggered and snapped and started to reach out looking for tribe. To me, that's part of my responsibility here on the planet, is to be an observer, but I'm also a recorder. And so there are opportunities for me to see things that no one else is around to see. So when Soraya got to express that, no one else other than the 5 of us in the room, and, you know, whoever watches this later, got to see the expression on her face as she was explaining how her awareness woke. That's my juice. That's what I live for. That's why I decided to stay here until clearly I can reach into the next realm. So Dave made this clear, and so I need to say it out loud for all of us to remember again. We have these visions of what New Earth is going to be already. Guys, you've already ascended. You're working on your particular individual mastery. And I hope that y'all get it pretty quick, because as Paula just pointed out, everybody has a unique gift. We weren't supposed to be like one another. Every member of the tribe has a unique skill that eventually you're going to be called on to perform. It's easy. You do this all the time. To the rest of us, we don't do that. We marvel at it. You weren't going to teach us. We have you. That's what you're here for. And as the tribe grows, the next person that comes along just adds to that gift, because I know what kind of power I carry and how special that gift is. So when I'm sitting next to Paula and Lynette, man, I just tripled the amount of energy that I can put out there, and their energy comes with things that mine does not. It's not that it completes a cycle, it just adds other layers of wisdom. And that's what the tribe brings. So right now, the things that are coming into your awareness, gang, these aren't new things that you're learning. Yeah, a book might have triggered it, but this is all knowledge that you've been stored now for a time when it was going to come and benefit you. So whatever cracked your DNA open and gave you access to this stuff, all you want to do is just dig deeper into the archives. And that is wonderful, because when you do that, you just kind of automatically share it with the rest of the collective. When you share these things in this environment right here, everyone else gets to feel that energy. And sometimes you're going to be the trigger for the next person too. And so on it goes. I wasn't going to be the only one that everyone had to come and touch in some way to feel, telos magic. No, you're already there. We're already ascended. Your job is to figure out what you've already mastered. Stop quoting the books you've read and the people you've learned from and all the labels and the titles that we've had along the way. None of that really means anything. We know you're special. Own that. Figure out what you master, because we need it here pretty quick. As you can tell, everyone in this room today has in some way. Paula and Soraya have been great and explained kind of things that have affected them. Oh, I'm looking at a deer. It's so cool. We are close. So I'm glad this happened today. I had been in 3D for too long and without an outlet to find some real peace. Took a couple days to get it here, but man, everything just expanded. And man, there's energy that's shifted up here that I'll go into. I could spend the rest of the podcast talking about the CE5 event at Jamie Lee's place last night. And somebody brought, the right equipment to look at it. There's a local guy named Dustin who is a filmmaker. He's been in the Shasta area for about 20 years. And you've seen him on some of the programs around, like on History Channel and stuff, talking about like Pluto's cave, because that's what the producers like to take him. He takes them there. Well, he's got some new equipment. He's doing a new film. Well, he was there last night. And so he had a camera that was filming some phenomena. And a few other people had brought some infrared, lenses so that you could look into the sky and see what was really there. There was so much traffic. I'm telling you, it was just crazy. There was one place where I was just focusing on Vega because people kept saying, oh man, look at the ships moving. There was one spot where there were 7 craft that were moving all at the same time in different directions. These are not satellites and these are not airplanes. It was just outstanding. And then just as it started to get really dark, Dustin was focused kind of south toward from where we were. The mountain would have been behind us and you would have been like you look at Scorpion or the Scorpius, that constellation. And when he held the camera up and he's collecting what he's collecting through this 3D, infrared, I've seen this phenomenon before, and Dave's talked about it. He explained it as not a black hole. Anyway, there was some phenomenon and ships were moving in and out of it. And it was there for a while, faded out a little bit, and then it stayed there for a little while, and then eventually we didn't see it anymore. So he has that on video. I'm anxious for the day that everybody gets to see that, because he just happened to point his camera in the right location to watch that phenomenon. And we were kind of looking over his shoulder. This stuff's real. It's just crazy. So who else is up? Chris, I really want you to have an opportunity to kind of speak up.
Hello, everybody. Chris Dorman here. I was going to say, should I just start with a testimony of how I came into all this, or just?
If sure, it kind of helps the tribe give you a little bit of background to how you got here.
Well, I'd say things really started happening with me about December 21st of 2021. I think that's really when my whole quote-unquote DNA cracked open for me. I was just sitting there getting ready for work one day, and I saw it cut a blur out the corner of my eye, a gray blur. And immediately after that, I started seeing look like little specks of light all around me. Come to find out, that was actually me being able to see the angels around it. However, I just I had come up through a ministry that teaches and preaches miracle power, and through that I was able to just do some Akashic digging and all that, along with like seeing certain programs about Telos, about Inner Earth and Agartha, and it really drew my attention. Not only that, through the course of that, I did run across you, Lowell, in your interviews, and I believe I did catch that Gaia broadcast that you did. And something within me was saying, the path that you took to get to Telos is a good starting point for my to start my journey and get my Dharma rolling. And forgive me if it felt like I was being a bit adamant or intrusive in my approach to try to talk to her first.
Well, let me stop you there for a second. There's no apologies necessary, and I'll tell you why. I was much the same way. Look, when I wanted answers, I want them right now. So there are no apologies. But I wanted you to finish telling your story, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, just to cut to the chase. There's this gentleman on YouTube named Night God 333. He does some very niche reporting, but he tells a lot of good stuff in terms of like UFO sightings, cryptids, and just mysteries that the mainstream news doesn't cover. However, through that, I ran across the recording of Sharula Dux and her exposition on the daily life of Telos. And I was able to just use that information and look it up. And that whole recording was on YouTube at that point in time. Albeit it was a much more, slightly more garbled, but I like the work you did on that to assist that to get it more up and running. But I was able to listen to that all the way through, and then I felt through my intuition, my higher self telling me, call her now, call out. And through that, I was able to unlock telepathic abilities, and I literally heard her call out, or respond to. So, long story short, there was some back and forth, and I was at work one night, both her and an attendant of hers, or an associate of hers, bilocated to me, and I literally felt them in my auric field. And through a little back and forth dialogue, I actually showed them a memory that I had that came to me in a dream back when I was 15. In this dream, I was standing really tall, and the earth around me was shaking, and I was hollering out, "Get in here now!" And at the time, I didn't really know what that was specifically, but through me hearing Sharula's message, and then Akasha digging and interactions with different Telosians as well, I was able to piece together that I was one of the crew that assisted getting the Lemurians into Telos, saving them from the sinking continent of Mu. So, and when I showed them that memory, one of the Telosian associate that was with Sharula, literally, I felt that she had a very emotional moment. It's like, "You're him. I can't believe you finally awoke." And then through that, or beyond that, I had the Telosian Council contact me, including Adama, and they worked out a deal with me that they wanted me to assist them with getting back in touch with the surface, and because I have gifts of being a community builder and assisting with different, like linking people with different skills together to be able to make a greater vision become a reality.
You're a connector. I'm a connector.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's the resonance I feel with you, Lowell.
Good.
So, long story short, I've had continuous contact with the Telosians. Not only them, also Ashta Command. Me being a crystal, I can contact anyone that I so choose, as long as I know the name. And through all this, I knew I had to get here to Mount Shasta. So I ended up parting peacefully with the ministry I was with, and coming over here. And so far I've been here in Shasta for about 4 months. And through that, I've been able to finish up the lessons that I needed to learn, and be able to get back to my ascended mastership. So
awesome.
There you go.
There you go. Thanks, Chris. We need to connect. So I don't leave until Tuesday. We will connect. Okay.
My mornings are free.
Okay. Tomorrow morning I've already committed, but maybe Tuesday morning would be good. We'll figure out the time. Okay.
If you know Berryvale, come there this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
I work.
Is that where you work?
Yep.
Nice.
Produce
Okay.
department.
I may stop by just to say hey.
Cool.
Hey, Bridge. Want to contribute anything today?
I'm just doing my job, baby.
Tell us a little bit about that.
What do you mean?
Do you have anything you want to tell us about? What's going on with you?
That's funny how you say "tell us about it." It just is like tell us. I like it. Anything about me? I think I'm kind of blank. Yeah, I just.
Let me tell the others that might not know who she is, and I referred to her as Bridge. Lynette is a true connector. When all this began to unfold with me, Lynette has been around the Shasta community for way longer than I ever knew it existed. And when she got wind of it, she made sure that everybody she knew about me. And she was the connector. That's why everyone calls her the Bridge. So who's got any closing thoughts? This is, God, it seems like we packed a lot of stuff in and it's only 50 minutes into this. Paula, you have any ideas you want to conclude with?
Gosh, all I can think of is the importance of everybody knowing their unique role. I think, this age that we're moving into isn't about following a particular person. It's knowing your unique gift that you're dovetailing in with everybody else's and holding strong to that truth within you, because I know we all have a lot to bring to the table and we all come together beautifully and hold strong with that. Yeah. That's what I really believe.
While I was sitting here listening to everybody else and realizing, the gifts that they've got, it reminds me, this is a style I used to manage hotels with. And I used to like to go to places and I didn't really appreciate and understand the people, human resource people would say, you change culture. Well, that's because like within the first month that I would get to these new places, I wanted to know who the staff was. So I just observed. I wanted to see how they did things now before we made any changes. And then when we got into the first staff meeting, where after 30 days, it looked like I could identify some things that needed some work and some things that, definitely needed a celebration, that someone needed to come along and do that. But I looked at everyone else in the room really as equals with me. And I don't care what your job was. When we started to make decisions, I wasn't dictating a damn thing. I was listening to everybody else in the room, because not always. I might have been more experienced than most, but I wasn't always the smartest guy in the room. And we always benefited when we heard from the one that was at that time. That is where individual gifts and skills came glaring out at me. Like, I'm not always the guy that needs to be that, but maybe my job was just to lead that until it just manifested out of everybody. And look at what we did when it was over. And who got credit? The entire freaking team, not the leader who did that to, polish his ego. I loved seeing everybody else get their juice because that's where I got mine. And this is just the next manifestation of that, watching everybody kind of come into their own and identifying who's in the tribe and what they're good at. No one's going to duplicate efforts, but I promise you this, we're all going to the same place. We've got our own journeys, and now we've paralleled, they've crossed. This isn't coincidence. None of this is coincidence. Nothing that came across your path was coincidence. And our, all coming together here, that wasn't either. So now we know what kind of strength we have to work from. And Paul is right. I've sensed that this was going to go mainstream at some point. Immediately after Kumu took the pictures she took that day, somebody there said, well, maybe you're supposed to be part of this disclosure thing, Lowell. And that when the time came for you to tell your story in a way that you sound authentic to me, you're going to have freaking pictures to show people, and let them doubt that. If they still doubt it, great. You have satisfied your obligation. You told them what you knew and you showed them what you could show them. And if that wasn't enough, it's not your job to convince them. It's your job to just make it available for them and let them discern for themselves. I respect that I'm a sovereign being. I respect that for everybody else too. You have your own free will, and I want you to exercise it, because again, whatever gift you have benefits me as part of the collective in the long run. This next realm where love and unity and compassion is the frame of the day. That's what I'm looking forward to getting back to, and then watch the power of what we can do. Humanity had not really had a real fair shot to show the rest of the universe what they could do when we weren't tinkered with. But we're about to get there, because some of this additional light and photon energy we're getting is also enhancing our DNA to hold that greater light and higher frequencies, so that when we get to really show what humanity can do and what inner Earth is waiting for us to do, they want to share their technologies with us. And here's why. We still are charged by emotion. It's what makes us creative. But once we get a cap on, the good and bad and start to label things that way, and they share their technologies with us, what do humans like to do best? Make something better. So wait till we get their hands on the technology that they have for us, and we take our intuitive skills. I can't wait to show off what humanity can do. And those of us that are here on the planet right now, and I'm kind of projecting out in maybe ways that people think is just fantasy, your soul is going to be of great benefit in other places in the universe. Earth isn't the only place that's going through these transitions. And so your experience is going to be very valuable in other places later. So wear that like a badge too. Anybody have anything else they want to contribute before we close this out today?
I think that was a beautiful close.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think we
go
do
ahead,
have
Paul.
a lot to contribute. Yeah. I like that you said that, putting humanity in a good light, that we do have a lot to contribute, and we should be really proud of ourselves as human beings and what we can push through under difficult circumstances.
Oh, wow. Well, here, this experiment, and mind you, that's what this Earth thing was. It was an experiment. Earth was never meant to be built out to support life, but here we are. Here we gave it a shot. This was supposed to demonstrate what humanity could do. But when we weren't left to ourselves, when we were tinkered with along the way, it wasn't fair. Well, the scoreboard's evening out right now, and we're about to get back the things that we had lost, and can command over the controls of the things that we had before. We're about to get those things back, and now watch what humanity can do when the negative elements, I shouldn't say that, when we understand how to transmute negative energy into light, we'll be back in our command. And now watch what the hell humanity can do. Last thoughts. All right, then you know where to find me on Saturday. Soraya, when she reached out, it just reinforced the importance of me continuing to do these. And again, I tell everyone that came, while we were going through Soraya's stories, and then Paula contributed, and then Chris contributed, it made me think of that scenario back in the boardroom when I was having a staff meeting. Yeah, I was kind of leading and I was listening, but this show wasn't mine. It was all of you who contributed things that everybody else needed to hear today, and I was just tickled to be part of it. So thank you all for your contributions, and I'll see you next Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Appreciate you.